theme song attests we are live. We are live. We are local every morning, 6 to 9:30 a.m. right here in Central Florida with so many ways to listen to us terrestrially. You can listen to us on FM 96.9 The Game, AM 740 HD. That's high def radio, 101.1-2 on the FM dial. You can also listen on your phone by downloading the free iHeartRadio app. If you don't hear us live, you can find us on podcasts. Just go to the iHeartRadio app, search for 96.9 The Game, Open Mic, and Open Mic on Demand. That's our entire show that you can listen to. You can also watch us on social media, Twitter, Twitch. We prefer you go to YouTube, search for the Open Mic live stream, and you can see us live and in color. Welcome to Open Mic on this fine hump day. I'm Mike Bianchi, the Bulldog, sports columnist of the Orlando Sentinel. Joining me, as always, is the deceptive intellect, one Adam Reardon, and of course, Austin Pistolka. He's the Sultan of Sound.
Yeah, that's right, Mike, and let me tell you, I've never had more fun picking out sound because the Magic won, baby!
Yeah, what about it? We want to hear from you, all of you Magic fans out there. Give us a call, 407-916-8255. Tweet us at 96.9 The Game. Text us on our Academy Sports and Outdoors text line. That's 50857. You'll want to remember that text number because we have your chance to double your stimulus. Actually, it's a different text number. Double your stimulus every morning this week. This is the last week of it, by the way. You have a chance to win an extra $1,400 every morning at 7:10 a.m. this week. All right? 7:10 a.m. Make an appointment. All right, our Open Mic early morning inspirational quote of the day. From the great Booker T. Washington, who once said, and I quote, if you want to lift yourself up, lift up someone else. Intellect?
I like that one. It goes contrary to what you would think. Instead of lifting yourself up to make yourself feel good, you really want to make yourself feel good? You really want to feel lifted? Feel the joy of lifting somebody around you. That's even better.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Like I called Adam Reardon yesterday, and he was helping. Who was it? You helped
Gramp. Yeah.
Gramps. He was helping Gramps. 90 years old.
Yeah. Sometimes I do have to help him up. Literally. Like, hey, out of this chair.
That was from Booker T. Washington, as translated by the deceptive intellect, Adam Reardon. All right, give me some magic music. Oh, yeah. Oh, ho, 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 ho.
Watch out, beware. Gonna get you.
Bum, bum, bum.
The roster rehauled, the roster renaissanced. Orlando Magic rose up on the West Coast last night, led by the greatness of budding star Chuma Okeke, and they pull off an improbable 103-96 victory over the heavily favored LA Clippers last night. Give me some highlights, Sultan.
Bernard's made 3 threes tonight. Okeke for 2. It's good. Boy, Chuma Okeke playing with tremendous confidence. So smooth. Out top, MCW. Get a drive, pitch it to Okeke for 3. No good. Rebound, Ennis. No good. Tapped in by Wendell Carter Jr. And the Magic take the lead with 1:10 left. Rebounded by Carter. Taken away. Kawhi. 6 seconds left. Carter Williams deflects it. Carter Williams throws it down and seals it for the Magic with 2.3 on the clock.
Yeah, I mean, I hope so. That's what we're going to have to be. We're going to, we're not going to be getting to 112 and stuff now. We're going to have to play like this, defend, be low turnover, be smart. We have more offense in, which helped us a little bit tonight, but we're going to continue to add things even in the ballrooms.
Magic coach Steve Clifford. The Magic had lost 14 straight to the Clippers, dating back to November of 2013. 13. The Clippers had won 6 in a row heading into last night, and somehow, some way, the Magic get a win. Okeke scores 18 points on 7 of 11 shooting. By the way, Okeke averaging almost 18 points over the past 4 games. Do we have Okeke? Do we have a clip from Okeke or not?
That was that first. Oh, yeah. Here we go. Chuma Okeke right here.
That helps a lot. Him having high expectations for us, that boosts our confidence a lot. I mean, that just means he expects a lot from us, and we just got to deliver when we play, and we play for each other, and that's just that's what we got to do from here on out.
Is Chuma Okeke? Here you go. What is it? What's today? How about an overreaction Wednesday? Is Chuma Okeke a budding star for the Orlando Magic? Anyone want to answer that question? He looks good. He looks smooth. He looks like he knows how to play. Obviously, he spent his entire rookie season last year injured, recovering from that torn ACL he suffered his senior season at Auburn, where he was very good. The Magic took a flyer on him with the 16th pick of the draft 2 years ago. And I got to tell you, Mark Daniels actually said this the other day. He said that Chuma Okeke might be the Magic star of the future. Again, we have a very small sample size here, but he looks good, fellas.
Yeah, I mean, I want to see a larger sample size. Clearly, this is way too early to have this discussion. But the one positive thing about him and sort of how you'll feel about him is something you just mentioned. He was taken 16th in the draft. This is an Aaron Gordon who was picked, 4th? When you pick in that top 4, that top 5, you expect that guy to come in, be a difference maker, be a star in the league. And when that doesn't happen for those guys, you feel like you've been sort of ripped off by that draft pick. At the 16th spot, if this guy scores 18, what did we say we wanted from Aaron Gordon every night? 18 points every night. If this guy can give you 18 points, now you're probably not going to go 7 for 11 every night in the league. But what I was really impressed with, and something I look at, not that I'm an analytics nerd or anything, but his plus minus. He was plus 15 on the night. That means he plays good defense too. That he's not just I'll dump all my energy on one end of the court and then dog it at the other end. You see a lot of those guys. So I would say this, that will he be the star of this team in the future? Is he a budding superstar? I don't know the answer to that. What I do know is it's nice to have him on the floor. This is a portion of the season where he's going to get a lot of run, a lot of opportunity, and so far, what's not to like?
Yeah, and, we talked a lot about Jeff Weltman, the Magic's president of the basketball operations yesterday. Obviously, when they drafted Chuma Okeke, there was some criticism among Magic fans, including Adam Reardon, who said, hey, you can't draft, you got to draft somebody who can contribute right away. Well, he was taken with the number 16 pick. I did a little research, all right? 16th picks in the draft, as Adam just mentioned, you don't really expect a whole lot from them. Maybe they pan out, maybe they don't. There's only been one 16 pick in the last 20 years who became an all-star. Do you know who that was?
You mean specifically the number 16 or 16 and lower?
Specifically the number 16 pick.
No, it's Giannis then.
No, Giannis was 15.
Oh.
I don't know.
Anybody want to guess? That would be Nick Vucevic, all right? That would be Nick Vucevic, who was taken 16th by the Philadelphia 76ers, 10 years ago.
Mike, let me ask you this, because you just said something that sort of made me think. You think when they drafted Chuma Okeke, knowing that he wasn't going to contribute right away to a playoff team, that maybe in the back of their mind, even at that point, they knew that somewhere, maybe a year or two down the line,
rebuild was on the horizon?
They were going to start fresh?
Ooh.
Maybe. Well, I don't know about that. That could be, or maybe they thought, hey, this guy's was so good when he was healthy at Auburn that we're going to get him as a steal at number 16, and then when he is healthy, we'll just put him in there with all the other players, and maybe he'll take us to the next level. I don't know, but it's an interesting thought, though, isn't it?
Yeah, you made me think about that right now.
I still say when Jeff Weltman took over as the president of basketball operations, he didn't have the option of rebuilding right away, because they were just coming off a miserable failed rebuild. So he didn't have the option. So his options were to get to the playoffs quickly, to, re-sign Vooch and re-sign Aaron Gordon and have this veteran nucleus to try to get to the playoffs and then sort of fill in. And then, we saw what happened this year when the bottom fell out with the injuries. And that was sort of the opening. I don't know if that's the right word. The opening he was waiting for to be able to do what all GMs and president of basketball operations love. What do they love to do? They love to get all these draft picks and see if they can hit on them. It's like gamblers. It's like gamblers. That's what GMs live for. GMs live for the rebuild, do they not? That's the fun part for them. They don't want to just re-sign players that they didn't really have anything to do with getting. They want to show how smart they are. Right?
It's like it is the kin to the athletic director who likes to hire his own football coach. You could have a successful football coach, and you're just, as an athletic director, when you get hired on, you're just waiting for that guy to screw up so you can bring your guy in, so you could start getting the credit for football wins at that school.
Look what I did. Yep. Yeah. Yeah, he gets no good. Rob Hennigan actually got credit for Vucevic, not Jeff Waltman. So, anyway. All right, straight ahead. Wow. We had a major upset in the Elite Eight last night. UCLA takes down Michigan. Gonzaga rolls on. The Final Four is set. We will discuss next on Open Mic. We cut off Austin Pastolka last segment. He wanted to give a shout out to one Mo Bamba.
Yeah, I tell you what,
Huh?
12 points, 8 rebounds, a block. Man, he was just waiting for the spotlight. You know, he was hiding
yeah.
in Vooch's shadow that whole time. Now he can
He's gonna
be
emerge?
now he can be a subpar backup center all on his own.
We shall see. But yeah, the Magic's young players last night, they beat the Clippers. That's kind of exciting. Wendell Carter Jr.
He had 3 blocks. Like, this team was very, like, when Steve Clifford talks about how good they were defensively, they had 10 steals and like 6 blocks, which is crazy. That's awesome for them.
Yeah. Inspired, trying to prove themselves, trying to stay in the league, for crying out loud. You got young players trying to stay in the league. All right. I don't know what our spontaneous text question is going to be. Here's the days that we have, all right? National days. It's Manatee Appreciation Day. It's National Little Red Wagon Day. National Clams on the Half Shell Day. National Tater Day.
Half-shell day.
Yeah. National Tater Day.
Potatoes.
National Bunsen Burner Day. National
Bunsen
Crayon.
burners need a day.
Yep. National Crayon Day and National Prom Day. Didn't we just have a prom day?
Promposal day.
Promposal day.
This is the subsequent of.
Wait, Bunsen
National.
burner. That's the thing in chemistry class, right? That's
Yeah.
with the little flame and stuff. Dude, in our neighborhood, we have like a Facebook, group for just the neighborhood, and there's a lady that posted a picture of like all these beakers and stuff like that. And like, hey, does anybody have a kid that has science class that needs this for a project? I told Trina, and again, it's a small neighborhood and people mostly know each other. I said I wanted to text on there. It's like, hey, do you got any more of that stuff? I just watched Breaking Bad and I want to see something. I wanted to leave that up there, but she wouldn't let me.
Oh, man.
How great would that have been?
Amazing.
You can't put that up in your hoity-toity.
I know. That was the thing.
You'd get the police called on you so quick. I think they're making meth over there.
We do have 4 daughters and stuff, so sometimes it does stink over at the house. I'm after soccer games and stuff. You're like, what's that? Is that meth? Are they cooking meth? No, these kids refuse to take a shower sometimes. It's crazy.
All right. Wow. What about the NCAA tournament last night? We got one expected result and one unexpected result. Give me some highlights if you can, Sultan of Sound.
Come on.
3 up for Suggs and down from the right wing. Kispert off the inbound to Suggs. Suggs feeds it to Timmy in a 2-hand flush, and then he blows kisses to the crowd. And the quest for perfection moves to the Final Four. 30-0 Gonzaga.
Juzang driving to the right side and banked it in just inside the free throw line. The ball is on the floor and finally picked up by Jaquez, and now they're going to stop play. Juzang is slow getting up. Something happened to Johnny Juzang. Well, he's been battling an ankle injury. Oh, this is bad for UCLA. Juzang with the ball down around his knees. He's going to rise up, shoot the deep jumper, and knocked it in right over top of Wagner. Johnny Juzang has 25. Dickinson is going to inbound. Takes the basketball. Dickinson looking, fires it in. Wagner turns, fires a 3 for the win. No good! Off the back of the rim, and UCLA has won it from the first 4 to the final 4.
Wow. Johnny Juzang getting it done for the Bruins. He has 28 points last night. Comes off that, you just heard, the injured ankle, and still lights up Michigan 51-49. UCLA, the 5th, 11th seed ever to reach the Final Four. You want to talk about a wild finish. My goodness. Michigan had every chance to win that game. UCLA they were up 50-49, which ended up being the final score. Michigan calls a timeout. 19 seconds left. Juwan Howard sets up a great play. Wide open 3-point look for Franz Wagner. And what did Franz Wagner do with the wide open 3-point shot? Air ball. Eli Brooks rebounds for Michigan. He misses the putback. Quickly, they foul Johnny Juzang, who goes to the line for 2. He misses the second one, which means Michigan's still only down by 2 points. Michigan gets the rebound, another timeout. Mike Smith races up the court, unloads. Again, another good look three from the wing. That was halfway down before bouncing out. Then the buzzer sounded, but officials said, wait a minute. Put a half second back on the clock. And that was enough time for Michigan to inbound to Wagner, who, again, it wasn't a wide open three, but he had a look at it, and he let the three-pointer fly, and it clanged off the rim, and the Bruins get the victory. Wagner has to be feeling really bad today. Adam Reardon.
Well, I mean, not just Wagner, but every writer in the building who is hoping for the Wagner orchestrates the win.
Oh, so good.
Yeah, there you go.
So
There you
good.
Wagner works tickles the strings and orchestrates the win.
Yeah. Well, he didn't tickle any strings. He got all air. Is what he got. There were no strings.
That's what they were hoping for. But again, I've said this since the beginning of the tournament. When the tournament opens itself up to
how
you,
about this? Wagner orchestrates string music.
that's it. I mean, that was it was there. It was prime for the picking. Every newspaper who had it written had it ready to go, but no, somebody's got to throw up an air ball. This isn't bagpipes, my man. Wagner didn't have bagpipes. We don't need air here, okay? I told you, when the tournament opens itself up to you, you're the 1 seed. You're expected to go through. And then in the Elite Eight, when you get the 11 seed in front of you, who, oh, by the way, has had to play an extra game, I think the extra game helps you round number one because you already got the juices flowing. I think by the time you get to the Elite Eight, that extra game probably wears on you. I mean, that's just more wear and tear on your body. And you should take advantage of that. That is a big miss for Michigan. Big miss for Juwan Howard. Big miss for their fan base. Kudos to UCLA, who's on this run. I think they're only the second ever first four in, or group of four, whatever they were calling it, to the Final Four. I think VCU did it way back when with Shaka Smart and one of those teams there. So it doesn't really happen that often. And so for Michigan to really drop the ball like this, I'm talking about the tournament opening up. Not that they needed it to open up for them, but if you're Gonzaga now and you're looking up at the tournament, you're going, look at this. Look at what's going on here. Ain't this special?
Yeah, give UCLA credit, though. I mean, their defense was just disrupting. It was suffocating. Michigan wanted a track meet, and UCLA turned it into a fist fight. That's what happened. And again, UCLA has just been eking out wins. They had 2 overtime wins in the tournament thus far. Last night went to the buzzer. And Juzang, good Lord, you want to talk about emerging in this tournament. He has emerged as a star in this tournament. But now we'll see what happens when they play Gonzaga in the semifinals of the Final Four, because Gonzaga they are blowing everybody out. They beat down USC 85-66 last night. We all know that Gonzaga is trying to become the first team since Indiana in 1976 to finish unbeaten. I went through their scores this morning. The team, they have won 29 of their 30 games by double digits. 29-30. They are blowing everybody out. They are the highest scoring team in the country. Nobody can stop them. I mean, USC, they had like the 6th ranked defense in the country. They had no clue how to stop Gonzaga. So the Final Four is set. We will talk about that more as the show progresses. Speaking of college basketball, will the last Florida Gators basketball player to transfer from Coach Mike White's program? Will you please just turn out the lights? That's next on Open Mic.
Open Mic with
You know, we've been talking a lot over the last couple of weeks about Gators basketball coach Mike White and how Gator fans just have never accepted him since he replaced Billy Donovan 5 years ago, even though he's made the tournament every year. But his first year, 4 straight, he's won a game in the last 4 tournaments. He made the Elite Eight one year. Of course, they got shocked. I guess you would call it shocked by Oral Roberts in the second round this year. Oral Roberts, of course, one of the Cinderellas of this NCAA tournament. Well, you look at what's happening with the Gator basketball program right now. Omar Payne, one of their reserve big men, he announced yesterday he's transferring. He's the 4th Florida player to enter the transfer portal. He joins Noah Locke and a couple of reserves. Trey Mann has declared for the NBA draft. He was their All-SEC guard, leading scorer. Colin Castleton, who was the transfer center from Michigan, he is also declared for the NBA draft. But unlike Trey Mann, he did not hire an agent, and he's going to weigh his options. So he might be back next year for the Gators. There's no indication what's going to happen with Keontae Johnson yet. He, of course, has not been cleared to play since that scary collapse on the court during the game with FSU in December. There's also no indication what's going to happen with Scotty Lewis. He may be gone, as well as a couple other players. So, again, this is on the surface, I'm going to say, this is troubling for Gator basketball. I think it was Mark Long of the Associated Press wrote a story. Mike White's entire class from 2016, none of them are still in school. Andrew Nemhart, of course, is playing for Gonzaga right now. 12 of the 18 signees during White's last 5 years have transferred. All right? So that's the situation at the University of Florida. Here's another one. White has yet to graduate a single player since he signed with the Gators in 2015 after Billy Donovan left. I guess when all your players are transferring, or at least a good portion of them, they're not going to graduate. All right, I've done a little research. Remember we were talking about Leonard Hamilton having the second-rated recruiting class in the country the other day, guys? Remember we were talking about the recruiting rankings?
Yeah, and Florida was like way down.
If Florida's 73rd or something like that, Florida has 1 commitment. I talked to some people yesterday who follow Florida basketball pretty closely, and they say Mike White is shying away now from recruiting high school players because, for a couple of reasons, all right, there's a lot of cheating going on in the high school basketball recruiting world. We've certainly seen that.
Okay.
No, seriously. There's a lot of cheating going on, and Mike White is one of these guys who won't cheat, all right? And because he thinks he can get better players out of the transfer portal. He thinks he can get better players out of the transfer portal. The transfer portal right now in college basketball, there's like 1,000 players in it. You know, some of these players are experienced. The Gators have had some good luck in the transfer portal. Who was the guy they got from Virginia Tech who was like Kerry Blackshear?
Yep.
Yeah, obviously they got Colin Castleton, who was a big contributor this year from the transfer portal. They lose some, but then you just fill your roster up out of the transfer portal. So I think that's Mike White's strategy. At least from some of the people I've talked to, Mike White isn't so worried about not being able to recruit the high school players because he's filling his roster, as a lot of programs are, out of the transfer portal.
The transfer portal is good for, hey, man, we don't have any centers. We need a center. Is there a center? I don't know that the plan to rebuild your roster every year out of the transfer portal is going to be a good one moving forward. And if you've got a mass exodus of players and guys that have been there 1 year, 2 years, 3 years that decide I don't want to be. I mean, that is a lot of people to get, one, out of the transfer portal, and then two, create some sort of team continuity to have them play well together. It's risky.
But what's the difference between that? All right, creating then recruiting a bunch of one and dones out of high school and trying to get them to play together in one
Who's the
season.
last one and done that Florida signed?
One and done.
Bradley Beal, maybe. I mean, when was the last time Florida had a one and done?
Yeah, I'm not talking specifically about Florida. I'm talking about the Kentuckys of the world.
Well, because those one and dones. Listen. Okay, I'll put together 5 one and dones. That means they're the most talented guys in the country, and I'll roll with that. I'm talking about. Look, if you're recruiting, the 4th or 5th or 6th or 7th best class out of the SEC in the SEC, and they're all freshmen. Yeah, that's going to be tough. I mean, that part would be tough. But again, trying to keep this team together, or at least
I would contend that recruiting experienced players out of the transfer portal and trying to get them to play with some continuity is easier than recruiting a bunch of one and dones and trying to get them to play with some continuity. Again, I don't know if this strategy is going to work for Mike White. But he's had some pretty good luck in the transfer portal. I was also seeing this. What is it? 8 of 14 SEC teams have had at least 3 players enter the transfer portal since the end of the season. That doesn't I'm sorry, 8 of 12. We're excluding Alabama and Arkansas because they just got eliminated from the tournament. But 8 of the 12 teams that had their season ended early have at least 3 players in the transfer portal. This transfer portal is changing the way college basketball is played. It truly is. I mean, you have multiple schools losing 3, 4, in Florida's case, 5 or 6 players out of into the transfer portal. How do you even build a team of continuity? And we talk about student athlete. They're coming to school to matriculate through and get the old sheepskin. Are these guys really getting an education when they're transferring here and there? I mean, you got to transfer these credits. It's a mess, really. It's a mess. All right, our thought-provoking daily poll.
Oh, me. I'm sorry.
That's you. Yeah.
That's me.
Yeah.
Our thought-provoking daily poll today, which you can find over on Twitter at 969thegame, is this right here. Fully prepared, Mike. Is the mass exodus of players from the Florida Gators basketball team a bad sign of where Coach Mike White's program is headed, or just a sign of the transient world of transfer portal college basketball? Is it a bad sign or just a sign of the times?
I'll go, even though I just gave you his strategy, I'm not so sure. I agree with Adam. I'm not so sure it's a good strategy. I'm going to go it's a bad sign because the Gators are losing more transfers than most programs. I'm going to go bad sign.
Yeah, I'm going, especially, as you mentioned, on the surface, it is a bad look when players that still have eligibility that could choose to stick around. I mean, you've been to the tournament a bunch of times, and they're saying, nah, we'd rather go somewhere else.
Or there could be, hey, maybe they're encouraged to go someplace else so they can load up with a whole new crop of transfers, right?
Yeah.
You're not good enough. We need to get some more transfers in here.
Andrew Nemhard's in their ear going, best decision I ever made.
yeah, I don't think Andrew Nemhart was one of those guys, though. All right, right around the corner, we'll ask our NASCAR insider if NASCAR can clean up its dirt in the years to come. That's next. Buddy Pittman.
Absence makes
Here we go with the front page of the internet this morning. Remember, coming up at 7:10, right after Buddy Pittman, your chance to double your stimulus. Be on the lookout for that text word and text it to 200-200 for your chance at $1,400. We do that every single day at 7:10, so be ready for that. Let's head over to YouTube's trending page. Where trending right now is from Adult Swim. It is the official trailer for Rick and Morty Season 5. 3.9 million views. Are either of you fans of Rick and Morty?
I don't know who Rick and Morty is.
There's a song from Rick and Morty that I love that I don't know the name of right now. It's from Blonde Redhead or something like that.
Blonde Redhead. I don't know if I know that one.
Yep.
You'll
recognize it from like some TikToks that kids have shot and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, but other than that, no, I've never watched a single episode of Rick and Morty.
I think you would enjoy.
No,
it.
I think I would too. I've seen it like I'm familiar enough with it to go.
Sure.
You know, I didn't feel like I'd be judged at the house for watching it. But yes, I probably would watch it.
And of course, YouTube is also pushing their own original content. YouTube Originals, the Demi Lovato biography or docu-series that they're doing. Episode 3 is out now with 2.2 million views already in the first 15 hours. Dancing with the Devil, Reclaiming Power. So if you're interested in the Demi Lovato story, that's where you can find it.
Are there that many people interested in Demi Lovato's story? Apparently.
What is her story?
So she was on Disney Channel. She was one of those Disney Channel people that, sings, but she had like a huge mental breakdown. And went through rehab, got addicted
like
to
drugs.
I believe she was addicted to drugs for a time, but that wasn't really the big story. It was her mental breakdown of.
So sort of like who was the young? She's not young anymore, but young actress.
Lindsay Lohan.
Lindsay Lohan. Yeah.
I was going to go back even further than that, Mike. This is our Dana Plato story from Different Strokes.
Yeah.
I have no idea who that is.
Oh, like shame on you.
Shame on me.
So is Demi Lovato sort of like Lindsay Lohan? She went through that sort of, but
it wasn't near as public. It was just like she didn't have public outbursts necessarily the way Lindsay Lohan kind of did, and the party scene and all that sort of stuff. She also struggled with bipolar disorder and a number of other things, and so yes, but also no, in a very different way. Right. Happy birthday today to AC/DC co-founder and guitarist Angus Young.
Angus Young, wow. One of the greats. Angus Young has to be, he's got to be, is he 77?
I was going to say 70.
He's 65 years old.
Oh, wow.
Any guess on where he's from with a name like Angus?
Angus Young, Scotland.
Yeah, it's Scotland. You're correct. Trending across Twitter right now, do not post your COVID-19 vaccine cards on social media.
Ooh. Why?
Because scammers have been able to get more information on you. Just don't do it. There's some personal information on there. If you do want to show that you have gotten a vaccine, show you've got a Band-Aid, or cover up all of your personal information on the card.
Or I could just tell you the story about how I got my vaccine 2 days ago, my last one.
Yeah.
And yesterday, people say that second one hits you the next day.
It does.
Mike, I swear to God that I went home yesterday. I had to take a COVID test, too, like one of these PCRs or something like that.
Sure.
And when I tell you I went to sleep, and I slept the hardest I've ever slept in my life, because they say it makes you really, really tired. Sometimes makes people sick, but it just made me exhausted. I laid down at what time did we get home? Like 3 o'clock? I didn't wake up till 8.
Woo.
Wow.
Yeah. I took a Bianchi nap. It was fantastic.
By the way, why are you getting your second shot before I got? Because you were
I'm a school teacher. I'm a school teacher. Well, I'm not a teacher, but I'm involved in the education of our youth, Mike.
Man.
I believe it was the great Whitney Houston that once said, "I believe the children are our future. Teach them soccer well and let them lead the way."
That's right. One last thing from trending over on Reddit from Crappy Life Pro Tips. Here's a life hack for you. Are you hungover at work? Set up a ladder and take a nap at the bottom. If you're caught, you can claim you fell and lost consciousness.
Oh, fantastic.
Wow.
And that's the front page of the internet today.
That is the front page of the internet. A couple of NFL stories out there. The NFL owners officially approved a 17th game. Hallelujah for that. We're going to get more regular season football. They're going to cut down on the preseason, so that was good news. Other NFL story, Bruce Arians was on social media yesterday. You know, he made a bet before the Super Bowl that if the Buccaneers won, he would get a tattoo. Said he would get a tattoo, and yesterday on social media, he showed a picture of his tattoo with a little message. I'm a man of my word. When we win the Super Bowl, I will get a tattoo. Well, I got mine, and I love it. Hashtag SBLV, Super Bowl 55. The tattoo features the Super Bowl LV logo with the Lombardi trophy and the Buccaneers logo with the final score, 31-9. So Bruce Arians, age 68, is now, in my opinion, even before the tattoo, the coolest coach in the NFL. Is Bruce Arians cool? I think he's cool.
Oh, yeah.
I think he's a cool.
He's a cool guy.
He's a guy that doesn't give us that much coach speak, so I love him. I mean, I love the fact when we go to a Bruce Arians take, you're going to get the real deal. Whatever Bruce Arians is thinking at the moment, that's what he'll say. His filter is seems like it doesn't work, which I'm very happy for.
Other NFL news, actually, it's a college/NFL story. So Justin Fields, Ohio State quarterback, had the pro day yesterday for the Buckeyes. A bunch of Buckeyes had their pro day. Justin Fields, quarterback, ran a 40-yard dash at the pro day in 4.44 seconds. 4.44 seconds. This guy's 6'3". He's 228 pounds, and he ran the 40 in 4.44 seconds. It was unofficial because it wasn't at the combine. It was at the pro day. But according to the AP story I'm reading, the only other quarterback to have run a faster time officially at the scouting combine. Anybody want to guess?
Quarterback Mike Vick?
Yeah, I was going to say Mike Vick.
Nope.
Lamar Jackson?
Nope. RG3.
Oh.
RG3 ran a 4.41 in 2012. Marcus Mariota second, 4.52 in 2015. So Justin Fields, again, he is, wow. I wonder if that will turn any head. Did that turn Urban Meyer's head? Or you know how Urban Meyer likes a dual threat quarterback? Does that turn Urban Meyer's head and say, wait a minute, Trevor Lawrence, really? Why not Justin Fields? You think?
Yeah. Well, not. I mean, the way we worded it in one of our poll questions was at the number one spot. I think is the way we worded it. Not at number one, but I will say this, and he's got as much information on Justin Fields as anybody else would have. If he were that interested, I could definitely see a move down for other teams. A move down for some guys that
that would be gutty. That would be gutsy, wouldn't it? To move down and pass on Trevor Lawrence. Oh, wow.
But there's no way. I mean, like when he took the job in Jacksonville, it was like, hey, you can have the job. We're gonna give you the money. We're gonna give you all this control, except for one thing: you're taking Trevor Lawrence with the number one.
And your strength coach. You can't have him.
They let him sign. They originally let him hire the racist strength coach, right?
True.
Yeah, like I said, they gave him full control except for that. And then they had to dial back some of the control. Like, oh, okay, and then also you can't hire racists either. I mean, like two things you can't do here: can't not draft Trevor Lawrence, and no more racists. No more racists, please.
No more racism hires. Yeah. All right, let's pause for station identification.
WYGM Orlando, WJRR HD2 Cocoa Beach, FM 96.9 The Game, the home of Orlando City Soccer Club.
Joey Logano, Stenhouse sends it in, but Logano is going to win the dirt race at Bristol.
How about that?
Joey Logano.
Unreal. I got to tell you, I mean, guys, what a race. what a battle. All these different leaders. Joey Logano is pumped up to win this dirt race here at Bristol.
Oh, yeah, baby!
They said,
Baby, that's it!
My buddy. Nobody knows NASCAR like our buddy does.
Hey there, buddy, chum, pal, friend, buddy, pal, chum, bud, friend, fellow, brother, amigo, pal, buddy, friend, chummy, chum, pal.
Here's Orlando sports TV legend, Buddy Pittman.
I love talking NASCAR with Buddy Pittman. Buddy, you just heard Joey Logano was fired up about winning the dirt race, first dirt race in 50 years in the NASCAR Cup Series. I'm surprised he even knew he won, Buddy, because how'd they even see the finish line through that dust and haze?
Well, about the only place, Mike, that they knew you could see was if you were leading the race, because everybody's back behind the lead car. It was just, it was a guessing game. I mean, there were points in this race. They had one stretch where they had 3 wrecks within 10 laps. That shows you how bad the dust and the dirt got at times for these drivers. But from all indications, despite all of the rain out and everything they had on Sunday, they had to push the race of money. And hats off to the race crew at Bristol for all the rain they got on Sunday to be able to get that track raceable for Monday. That was an outstanding job. This is NASCAR's first attempt at this in 50 years. It was a big learning curve for them. They'll do better, and they must have liked the results because they've already announced that next year's spring race at Bristol will once again be done on the dirt. So from all indications, despite all of the dust and all the mess and all the what seemed to be chaos at a while, everyone apparently liked the results of this, particularly Joey Logano. Like I say, he's the trivia answer now. Who won the first NASCAR dirt race in 50 years? It's going to be Joey Logano, so that was a pretty big deal.
Buddy, I was watching some of that on Monday, and again, it was fun to watching those cars sliding around on the dirt and all of that. But again, I've never actually watched a dirt track race. Is this normal that you have all that dust and stuff on a dirt track race?
Not as much as I think they saw Sunday or Monday afternoon, rather. Usually a lot of these dirt races are run at night. The air conditions are a little bit different, so you don't create quite as much dust. Depending on how, as you saw most of the dust was in stage number 2 when they got up there and the track got dried out and they got a lot of dust. Then they came in and re-prepped the surface during the stage change, put some water down on the track, and it wasn't as bad in the final stage. So I think this is a learning process for NASCAR of what they need to do in prepping the track during the different stages and throughout the race to make sure it's good and raceable. And like I say, this was a big time learning curve for everyone to get out there, not only the drivers, but for NASCAR and the track crews and everyone. So I think next time they do it, they'll do it better. It'll be not quite as much chaos as it was, but from, like I say, the response that the drivers have down to a man, and almost every one of them seem to love it and seem to be excited by it. And so I think it's something that, like I say, they've already announced it'll be the dirt again next year at Bristol at this time.
Buddy, last thing on the dirt race at Bristol. All right, so I guess Tony Stewart owns a track in Ohio, Eldora Speedway, which is a dirt track, and he wanted them to have the race at his dirt track, and NASCAR said, no, we're going to do it at Bristol. Why didn't they do it at Tony Stewart's track?
Well, they do a truck race at Tony Stewart's track, and they have for several years. So they've done that before, and I just think it was one of those situations where if they were going to do it, it had to be at one of the existing tracks that's already on the schedule, because they've already shuffled and taken races away from tracks and moved races to other tracks. And like Chicago, there's no race at Chicago anymore. Atlanta's got 2 races back after having only 1 race for about 7 or 8 years. So they've done a lot of shuffling with the schedule, and I just think this was one of those things where they've done it before, not NASCAR, but Bristol has done this before where they've put dirt down and had this event. So NASCAR thought, well, we're shaking up the schedule. It's an existing track on the schedule. It's already booked in, so let's go ahead and do the dirt race there. So I know Tony was disappointed. I know he thought that he should have been in line for it. Particularly, that's kind of the way it goes. You you start with a new track, you get maybe a truck race or an Xfinity Series race there, and then eventually a Cup race will come along. And at some point down the road, they may try Eldora, but I don't think Eldora was. It doesn't have. I mean, although Bristol's not a big booming city, but Eldora would be even tougher to handle any kind of crowds of that nature to stage a Cup race there. So I think a lot of factors went into it. I know Tony was disappointed with that and unhappy with it, but I think there were just too many factors against Eldora and for Bristol to be able to do it.
Our NASCAR insider, Buddy Pittman, he joins us every Wednesday right here on Open Mic. All right, Buddy, we've been talking about this a lot. So Joey Logano wins. There's been 7 races this year, 7 different winners. How unusual is that?
Well, Mike, the last time that happened, you got to go back to the 2014 season. For the last time where we started out the year with 7 different winners in the first 7 races. And this is really going to be, we've always talked about, you get a win, you're locked into the playoffs. Well, only 16 drivers go to the playoffs, and we've already got 7 of those spots filled, so to speak, if that's the formula we're going by. So conceivably, by the end of the year, you could have more than 16 different winners if we keep going at this pace. Now, that's unlikely to happen, but, hey, you never know. The way things have gone so far and the young talent that's out there and the way things have gone, I mean, some of the drivers this season are just not performing like you would thought. I mean, Chase Elliott is off to a slower start. The Stewart-Haas organization as a whole, although Kevin Harvick has been running strong, the Stewart-Haas organization is off to a very slow start. Kyle Busch still has not won. Denny Hamlin, although he's had 6 top 5s in the first 7 races, still has not won a race. So, these guys at some point are going to step up and get a race win. So when it gets to those playoffs, you may have more than 16 guys who have got a victory. And so therefore that one victory is not going to guarantee you a spot in the playoffs. So it's going to be interesting to see as we progress on down the road. But we're getting to a lot of tracks where a lot of these guys are going to start to shine. And some of the guys, particularly, I mean, you got to know Denny Hamlin. I mean, he's finished in the top 5 in 6 of the first 7 races. He's been competitive in every single race on every different kind of track. He's going to get a win. So it's going to change around, but it's going to be interesting when it gets to playoff time with all these guys who've gotten wins and a lot of surprise guys who've already locked themselves, like Michael McDowell and people like that, Christopher Bell, who've locked themselves into the playoffs already, supposedly.
Buddy, real quick, I meant to ask you this when we were talking about Bristol and the dirt track race. So, Richard Petty, he doesn't like the dirt track racing. He says that puts a NASCAR. He says it was a quote. I've got it right here. It took us years and years to get away from that stigma of dirt track. Dirt track racing is not professional, so we're going backwards. It would be like taking a pro football team and going back to play at a high school field. What about that?
Well, I think, and that's ironic because 50 years ago, when they ran their last dirt track race, who won that race? Richard Petty. So it's ironic that Richard Petty is the guy who comes out against it. But I think it's one of those things where, it was a throwback to what you see on Saturday nights out at Volusia County Speedway and that sort of thing with the dirt track. And
I like it.
So I think it was very entertaining. Like I say, there's a big learning curve that the process and the racing will get better as the drivers and the crews and the NASCAR and everyone learns to get back into this. But like I say, they hadn't done this for 50 years, so this is a big, steep learning curve for them. So I think it will get better, but I think it's just that image of, I think NASCAR had kind of grown to, we're not that little Saturday night racing stuff anymore. We're big-time sports. And I think that was just the angle from which Richard Petty was saying is, we've worked so hard to get away from that, and now here we are going back to it. That same little Saturday night racetrack image. But I think the sport has to evolve. The sport has to come up with new and more ways to attract fans and come up with ways to get more people interested in the sport. And that's why they took such a big swing with all the change in the schedule this year. And you'll see more of it next year when they announce the schedule for 2022. There's going to be a lot of changes, and it's all to try to draw more fans and more interest back into the sport. So I think the Kings just going to have to live with it they're going to be doing some throwback stuff more so than what you've seen already.
Buddy, what do we have this week?
Well, Mike, they're actually off this week. We got Easter weekend off. They always take Easter weekend off, and so there won't be any NASCAR racing this weekend. But then they come back the following Saturday for a Saturday night short track under the lights at Martinsville Speedway. So that'll be exciting. And you know, Mike, that's the track where they give away the grandfather clock as the trophy at Martinsville. And you've got guys, Darrell Waltrip won 11 races there. He's got 11 clocks that he had. He gave one to his mom. He gave one to his accountant. He gave one to his lawyer. He gave one to the guy who ran his car dealership. And then he's got one in his workout room. So it's a
probably got a few in the garage too, buddy.
Exactly. He's got them hanging around. Petty Motorsports through the years, between all the different drivers, between Richard and their guys, they won 20 of those clocks. So it's a prestigious piece of hardware. And the thing about it is, the company that makes those clocks, Mike, is a company called Grand Home Furnishings, and they give the clock to the Speedway to give away to the driver who wins the race. But where they make their money is like when 2018, when Joey Logano won his first race at Martinsville, their team ordered 40 of those clocks to give away to the people on the team. So the company that makes these clocks makes a pretty good deal off of those. They sell them for about $2,000 a piece to the race teams. So it's an interesting, but it's a prestigious trophy. Clay Earls, when he first decided to do that, he started giving these clocks away in 1964, decided he wanted to give one that was useful, something that would be a showpiece in the home, and something that the wife of the driver would like to have as a trophy. So that was the reasoning behind it. But it is a very prestigious piece of hardware to have one of those Martinsville Speedway grandfather clocks.
I'd prefer his and her Rolexes, buddy, is what I would prefer.
I would go for that myself, Mike.
Buddy
if we
Pittman,
can just find somebody to give us one, we'll be
right. Yeah, that'd be awesome. Buddy Pittman is our NASCAR insider. We always appreciate his insight into a sport we love to talk about. Buddy, we appreciate it. We'll talk to you next week.
Have a great week, Mike.
Right around the corner, it's a sound off. What is that? That's where we will hear the notable notes and quotable quotes from the newsmakers throughout sports. But first, we have your chance to double your stimulus.
Your chance to win
Sound Off brought to you by Double Your Stimulus. We just gave you a chance to double your stimulus. We're doing that every day for the rest of the week. This is the last week we're doing it, 7:10 a.m. every morning for the rest of the week. You have a chance to win an extra $1,400. Austin?
Sound off. We're certainly cognizant and aware. We made a statement at the beginning about where the organization stood. I would say it's a legal situation. It's a legal process, so we're certainly respectful of that. We certainly take them very seriously. The allegations or what's been discussed are certainly troubling. And organizationally, that's not something that we can condone, that we condone those types of actions. But again, we'll let the legal process take care of itself. And however it's going to unfold, we'll certainly comply and do what we can to help and facilitate a resolution for everybody.
That's Nick Caserio talking about the Deshaun Watson legal situation. And Mike, I guess
who's Nick Caserio?
He's a guy. GM? Yeah.
Is he the G? Okay, he's the GM.
That checks out.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
Probably.
All
Nick Caserio, man of import. Who is?
Let me Google Nick Caserio. All right,
listen,
go ahead.
no one would have noticed if you hadn't called it out. All right, no one would. They would have been like, "Oh, Nick Caserio, he's a guy with the Texans." I thought he was some comment. No, actually, he was talking about his team. Yeah, Nick Caserio is the GM of the Texans. There you go. It's all good. Anyway, Mike, should the Texans be doing more with all of the allegations coming out? Should they cut Deshaun Watson? Like, what should they be doing right now, or what they doing the best choice of action?
No, they have no choice. This is a nightmare for that organization. It was a nightmare before all of these sexual misconduct charges by the female massage therapist came out. He was trying to force his way out of town to begin with. All right, so now they can't trade him, essentially. They can't trade him because nobody's going to touch this guy with all of these charges and rumors and innuendo against him. So they can't trade him. Do they draft the quarterback of the future now, not knowing what Deshaun Watson's future is? So again, this is a nightmare for that organization. All they can do is what they're doing. Just let the judicial process play out. Let the NFL handle it during the or during the next couple of months, and then go from there. It's a nightmare for the Houston Texans.
Sound off.
Trevor, a Jaguars fan has been tweeting at you offering you $5 million to send him a picture of you dressed as a sexy Jaguar. I know you do everything you can to stay off social media, but maybe this is your sign to start up that OnlyFans account we've been talking about.
Maybe I should start doing that.
Well, this one's pretty straightforward. Adam Reardon, should Trevor Lawrence accept the $5 million and start up an OnlyFans as the sexy Jaguar?
Trevor Lawrence is maybe one of the only few people that have the ability to turn that down, because he's going to make more than $5 million, and maybe that would hurt his branding to do so, and so it would hurt him in the Nike, Adidas, Under Armour game. So maybe he says no. But I was just Googling sexy Jaguar outfits, just in case that guy wants to just drop $1 million on somebody who will do it, because I will do it. $5 million? Are you kidding me?
Absolutely.
I would. I'm trying to think of things I won't do for $5 million. Hold on. It's a small list, man. It's a small list.
I would do about anything for $5 million.
Yeah, I mean, like I said,
legal.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. Well, I mean, there's some illegal things that $5 million are covered.
Yeah. If it was a misdemeanor, I'd probably do it.
Sound off. Overall, I had a solid day. Of course, I think everybody knows my goal in that 40-yard dash was at least to be in the 4.3s. But of course, I'm kind of mad about that. But other than that, I thought I threw pretty well. I thought I just had a few missed throws, but I knew that happens. Every pro day is not gonna be perfect. So overall, I thought I had a pretty solid day.
Justin Fields saying he had a solid pro day. He was shooting for that 4.3, Mike, but he just couldn't get it. 4.40. In your eyes, is Justin Fields launching himself up the draft board? He was already number 2, I guess. No, he was number 3.
Not 3.
Is he jumping either of the top 2?
Well, again, where the NFL is going with dual threat quarterbacks, when you have a quarterback who, at least thus far, has run the second fastest 40 time in the history of the league and the history of, combines and all of that. Yeah, again, that's a head turner. When a quarterback runs a 4.43 40-yard dash, and I realize a quarterback's job is to throw the football, drive the ball down the field, but we've certainly seen Lamar Jackson as an MVP. We saw the weapon he's become. Justin Fields, again, a better passer than Lamar Jackson with just as much speed. Now, I'm not saying he has the elusiveness of Lamar Jackson, but a guy who's considered a better passer coming out of college with more speed, that's pretty interesting and intriguing if you're an NFL team. There's no question about that.
Sound off. These guys get all the credit, though, Allie. Unbelievable heart, toughness. Nobody picked us. Nobody believed in us. That's how we like it. Obviously, we know our next assignment is tough. Their resiliency is unbelievable, Allie, to just continue to stop such a great team like Michigan.
That's Mick Cronin of UCLA, the head coach there at UCLA, talking about the upset victory over Michigan. Man, UCLA on one hell of a run in this tournament, going to the Final Four. Do they have what it takes to go even further here, Adam?
I just pulled this up here. They're 22-9. It's funny because as an 11 seed, I was expecting to see a number like they were like 15 and 15,
17 and 14.
Yeah, something like that. So this is a team that's won basketball games, and I think that what we recognize is winning games in the Pac-12 apparently wasn't that easy because the Pac-12 had a bunch of teams make a bunch of deep runs in the tournament. ESPN, by the way, their matchup predictor,
nice,
gives them a 10.3 chance.
Ooh, so
10.3% chance. So listen, if these teams ran it 10 times, they'd win one of the times.
They ain't holding. They're not holding Gonzaga to 49 points. Okay.
When is this game? When's this game? Oh, this is on the 3rd. This will be on the 3rd. All right, because I'll be gone for a week anyhow, and nobody will remember just in case I'm wrong. UCLA will win this game.
Yeah! There you go.
Won't be here to face the music next week. Wow.
Sound off. That's sound off for today.
That is the sound off. Straight ahead. What about, you want to talk about shocking upsets? The Orlando Magic beat the Clippers last night. What? Do we have a budding star on our hands in Orlando? We'll get to that next on Open Mic.
What does Mike Bianchi in the next commercial break have?
Magic music. Austin Pastolka. Oh, yeah. Orlando Magic. Yeah. Beware. Go get ya. Woo! Wow. Did that really happen last night? Did it really happen? The roster, what was the mantra we came up with yesterday? The roster renaissanced Orlando Magic, the roster rehauled, whatever you want to call it. The Orlando Magic rose up like a phoenix from the ashes last night on the West Coast. Not the Phoenix Suns. They rose up like a phoenix from the ashes on the West Coast last night, led by the greatness of a budding star, Chuma Okeke. They pull off the improbable 103-96 upset victory over the Clippers last night. Give me some highlights, Pastolka.
Bernard's made 3 threes tonight. Okeke for 2. It's good. Boy, Chuma Okeke playing with tremendous confidence. So smooth. Out top, MCW. He'll drive, pitch it to Okeke for 3. No good. Rebound, Ennis. No good. Tapped in by Wendell Carter Jr. And the Magic take the lead with 1:10 left. Rebounded by Carter. Taken away. Kawhi. 6 seconds left. Carter Williams deflects it. Carter Williams throws it down and seals it for the Magic with 2.3 on the clock.
Yeah, I mean, I hope so. That's what we're going to have to be. I mean, we're going to, we're not going to be getting to 112 and stuff now. We're going to have to play like this, defend, be low turnover, be smart. We have more offense in, which helped us a little bit tonight, but we're going to continue to add things even in the ballrooms.
Okay, that was Magic coach Steve Clifford. Has essentially a whole new roster, or not a whole new roster, but a revamped roster after the trade deadline last week. The Clippers had won 6 in a row. They were hot. Kawhi Leonard had 28 last night, but that wasn't nearly enough. As again, the Magic, who'd lost 14 straight to the Clippers, dating back to, what did I say earlier this morning? Dating back to like November of 2013. That's what it was. They'd lost 14 straight to the Clippers, and they get the win last night. Chuma Okeke scores 18 points on 7 of 11 shooting. Terrence Ross returned after missing 7 straight games with a sore right knee. He gets 15. And what about the Magic bench last night? Otto Porter Jr., 13. Your boy Mo Bamba, Austin Pastolka,
12.
had 12. Wendell Carter Jr. had 11. What did you say earlier? Mo Bamba was just waiting for his opportunity. Is that what you said?
He was in the shadow of Nikola Vucevic, and nothing was good enough. So now he's stepping into the spotlight. Mike, he's averaged over 11 points the last 3 games.
He's been liberated from Nikola Vucevic's shadow.
100%.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, it was hard. You wouldn't imagine Mo Bamba, a tall man.
Yeah, it was dark. That shadow was dark. He couldn't really see.
By the way, guys, you're talking about like these young Magic guys now that the road has been paved for them now, cleared out. Aaron Gordon last night for the Nuggets, 6 points. That's our guy.
There he is.
Evan Fournier. Did you guys see Evan Fournier's performance with? Get these bums out of here! Get these bums out of here! We gotta get the young talent. Gotta give them a crack at it.
What did Fournier do last night?
They didn't play. They didn't play last night. They played the night before. So his.
Well, hadn't he had COVID issues though? Has he been playing?
Evan Fournier?
Yeah, he played.
Yeah, remember he was playing for the Magic before.
No. I'm talking about when he got traded. There was some COVID issue with him.
He debuted with the Boston Celtics and scored 0 points, going 0 for 10 shooting.
Yeah. I mean,
okay.
You can blame it on COVID if you want.
Yeah, sure. I missed that.
But yeah, he was 0 for 10. And then last night, Aaron Gordon, in typical Aaron Gordon fashion, played 25 minutes and started the game, gave him 25 minutes, and scored 6 points.
Oh, but the defense.
Yeah.
Oh, he's so great on defense.
He's a defensive stopper, though. God, I was just looking at the Magic box score last night. It's unbelievable. All the players that contributed. Steve Clifford going 11 deep now. 11 deep on his bench.
At one point, we were like, we have maybe 6 if we're lucky, including Frank Murphy. Who was it?
That was Frank Mason.
Frank Mason from the G League.
The artist formerly known as Frank Murphy.
Yeah.
And now they're playing 11 guys? This is great.
I got to tell you. And again, I realize the sample size is small. But I'm going to predict right now on this, Overreaction Wednesday. I'm going to predict that Chuma Okeke, I'm going to predict that he's going to become a star. All right? And I'm going by the eye test, all right? I know I have none of the analytics, the plus minuses, or any of that. I'm just saying that he looks like a really good basketball player. Smooth, looks like he knows what he's doing. He can shoot. Aaron Gordon, as Mark Daniels used to always say, looked like an athlete, but not like a basketball player. Chuma Okeke looks like a basketball player. So I'm going to go Chuma Okeke. Is going to become a star for the Magic. All right? And I realize small sample size. I'm excited about the win over the Clippers last night. But that's my prediction. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, and I think his baseline starts way lower, which is good for Chuma Okeke and good for the Magic organization and for Weltman and Hammond, who drafted him there. And because he's the 16th pick in the draft. When you get something good out of that guy, you're excited about it. Whereas when we look at Aaron Gordon, if that's who we're going to compare him to, when you take that guy 4th in the draft, if those guys give you the same exact numbers, say those guys each score 16 a night, give you 8 rebounds, 3 assists. If both those guys give you that, you look at Aaron Gordon and go, yeah, that's probably what we wanted out of you. And if you look at Chuma Okeke and go, man, for the 16th pick of the draft, man, that was a win for us. We got more than we paid. What's the old adage in sales? Under promise and over deliver is the saying. So when it comes to these draft picks, when you're pick number 4 in the draft, the expectation level is so high, and Aaron Gordon never lived up to it. Only one night here or there he would look like that kind of guy. But Chuma Okeke being the 16th pick in the draft, he's got a little bit more room, I think, when it comes to the fans and whatnot. And if he performs at a consistent level, not even at a really high level, just a consistent level, he'll give the Magic more than Aaron Gordon gave him throughout his career.
By the way, you were just talking about Aaron Gordon and Evan Fournier and what they've done since leaving the Magic. The Bulls, by the way, since getting Vucevic, they're 0-2. They've lost 4 straight, 2 since they've gotten Vucevic. But Vooch has led them in scoring both games he's played.
Doesn't that sound familiar?
21-9 his first game against San Antonio, and then another 21-9. So
interesting. Wow. Magic 2.0, aka the Chicago Bulls. Remember last year when people were really mad at me for saying we should get rid of Nikola Vucevic because the offense just doesn't work through him, and whenever he was injured, Magic did a little better.
It's a stat stuffer, that guy. Stat stuffer.
That's
not a winner, just a stat stuffer.
That's what he is, a stat stuffer. You're also the guy who just said that Mo Bamba has been liberated from the
He's
shadows.
doubled his scoring output, Mike. Whoa. Doubled. Stats back it up, brother. I'm sorry, did Nikola Vucevic have a win over the Clippers? I don't think so. Mo Bamba does.
That's funny. That is funny. I don't care who you are. All right, straight ahead, we're going to get into some NCAA tournament talk and the blast, which means we are going to detonate on all the hot topics of the day coming your way on Open Mic.
More Open Mic up next. to the floor. It's loud and live and local. Oh, time for open mic.
Oh, play that guitar. Welcome back to Open Mic. I'm Mike Bianchi, the Bulldog, sports columnist of the Orlando Sentinel, joined as always by Adam Reardon, the deceptive intellect, and of course Austin Pastolka, the Sultan of Sound. Yeah. Together we are Open Mic, the troika of sports talk radio excellence in the megalopolis we know as Central Florida. Coming up at 8:15 a.m. this morning, Greg Allman, our Tampa Bay Buccaneers insider from The Athletic. We'll talk to him about the Bucs bringing the band back next season. They've signed every starter from their Super Bowl winning team. We'll talk to Greg Allman about that. We'll also ask Greg Allman, might the Bucs draft Kyle Trask, as Adam Reardon suggested yesterday, as maybe their quarterback of the future? If anybody's used to sitting on the bench for a couple of years, 3 years, it's Kyle Trask. He did it in high school. He did it in college. He'll probably wait a couple more years to be an NFL starter after Brady leaves.
And he wouldn't have to call home and like, I don't know why I'm sitting behind this guy. You know, when it was Felipe Franks, he could probably make that call to the house. Go, Dad, I don't understand. I'm sitting behind this guy. I think I could beat him out. When it's Tom Brady, you don't make that call back home. Going, I don't know why I'm behind Tom Brady. I think I'm better than him.
Yeah, so Greg Allman coming up at 8:15 a.m. this morning. We had some college basketball last night. Give me some highlights from the Elite Eight matchups, Austin.
Three up for Suggs and down from the right wing. Kispert off the inbound to Suggs. Suggs feeds it to Timmy in a two-hand flush, and then he blows kisses to the crowd. And the quest for perfection moves to the Final Four. 30-0 Gonzaga.
Juzang driving to the right side and banked it in just inside the free throw line. The ball is on the floor and finally picked up by Jaquez, and now they're going to stop play. Juzang is slow getting up. Something happened to Johnny Juzang. Well, he's been battling an ankle injury. Oh, this is bad for UCLA. Juzang with the ball down around his knees. He's going to rise up, shoot the deep jumper, and knocked it in right over top of Wagner. Johnny Juzang has 25. Dickinson is going to inbound. Takes the basketball. Dickinson looking, fires it in. Wagner turns, fires a three for the win. No good! Off the back of the rim, and UCLA has won it from the first four to the Final Four.
UCLA 51-49. They take down the first-seeded I was going to say the Bruins. First-seeded Michigan, which, of course, clobbered Florida State over the weekend. So UCLA, an 11 seed, number 11 seed ever to reach the Final Four. Johnny Juzang cannot be stopped. Johnny Juzang was unbelievable last night. 28 points. He injured his ankle. Still could not be stopped. And again, that finish was unbelievable. Michigan had, how many times? They had like 3 threes and good look threes to win the game. The first one came, UCLA was up 50-49, which turned out to be the final. All right, Juwan Howard, Michigan coach, he calls a timeout, sets up a play that was unbelievable. Sets up a play, Franz Wagner. If you guys haven't seen the highlights, go look at it. He is wide ass open at the top of the key. There's not a defender within probably 3 feet of him. Air ball. Wide open shot. It's an air ball. Michigan gets the rebound. Misses the putback. They foul. Juzang hits 1 of 2 from the free throw line, which means Michigan is still down by only 2. Another timeout. Mike Smith of Michigan races up the court, unloads a good look 3 from the wing. Looked like it was going in halfway down, but bounces out. The buzzer sounds, but wait. Officials halted the Bruins celebration. They put a half a second back on the clock, and that was enough time for Michigan to inbound to who? Wagner, who again let fly with a three-pointer that clang off the iron, and the Bruins win the game. That has to be just I mean, it is. It's a heartbreaker for Michigan because they had chances as well as UCLA played last night. Reardon, Michigan had every chance to win that game.
Yeah, and when you look at the way seedings sort of play out in the NCAA tournament, and you're in the Elite Eight, and you're the 1 seed, and you're playing an 11 seed who had to play an extra game, you can't ask for a better setup than that if you're Michigan and Juwan Howard. I know that you're missing one of your best players, and you got that to point to. But make no mistake about it, when you look at the draw and the way things worked out for you, you knocked off a really good Florida State team, bludgeoned them one game ago, and you almost ask yourself, is it a situation where you're up for that Florida State game because you know how talented they are, how good they are, and then you look up and you're like, oh, we got the 11th seed in this tournament? That's it, boys. We're going to the Final Four. And then before you know it, you're in a dogfight. As you said earlier, Michigan wanted a track meet, and UCLA wanted a street fight. And they found themselves in a street fight, and they were unable to land that final punch.
Yeah, and if you're Franz Wagner today, oh my God. Again, 2 shots at the end. One of them is an air ball, and the other clangs off the rim. Final shot. God, I would hate to be him. I mean, again, when you're in a setting like that, those are memories you carry with you for your life, and that's going to be a bad memory for Franz Wagner, isn't it?
I mean, there's no question that he's replaying that in his pride and sleep last night, just thinking about. Unfortunately, there's a billion plays in every single game that you could point to and go, oh, well, that impacts the game. But we only really remember the ones from the last 4 seconds of each game. And, when you miss 2 threes like that, especially the one where you had the absolute wide open look, that's one that he'll think that he should have hit and really it'll weigh on him.
What'd you say earlier that the headline writers had their headline all written? What was it?
Yeah, Wagner orchestrates the win, with late three. Wagner.
Most of our listeners are going, Wagner? Who the hell is that?
Most of our listeners read the box score and go, who's this Wagner guy? Wagner stinks.
Who's this Franz Wagner?
Franz Wagner. Wagner, yes.
Yeah. Was he a great... where was Wagner, the composer, from?
Germany, I believe.
He was?
Germany, I believe.
Sure he wasn't from Austria?
Maybe Austria. But he has the
what was
one really
Wagner's most famous...
gosh.
What was his most famous composition?
Number 4.
Is it number 4? Did you look it up?
No, I just pulled a number out of the air.
Good work out of you.
Yeah.
You'd know it if you heard it. I don't know the name of it, but
Wagner's number 4.
Based on Franz Wagner, I'll guarantee you it didn't have a string section in it.
That's right. Because Wagner couldn't play the strings last night.
There was no string music last night.
Weird. They were using bricks as an instrument for this one. Crazy.
Clanging bricks together?
Yeah.
Like cymbals instead they were using bricks.
German composer, by the way.
He was what was his most famous composition?
Most famous work is The Flying Dutchman.
Okay. All right.
I have no idea what the Flying Dutchman sounds like.
No, I didn't even know the Flying Dutchman was a composition. I thought it was like a football player's nickname or something back in the leather helmet days. Oh, the old Flying Dutchman. Huh?
85% sure the Flying Dutchman is just an old sea shanty.
It's in the same playbook as the annexation of Puerto Rico and the Flying Dutchman. What are we going to run today? What play are we running?
I think the Flying Dutchman was a old football player's nickname, if I'm not mistaken. Austin, can you Google that Flying? Google that. Maybe like Norm Van Brocklin or something. The Flying Dutchman, or I don't know. Bobby Lane, one of those old guys.
Van Brocklin? Van Brocklin sounds about right.
Yeah.
Dutch Clark Played 7 seasons in the NFL for the Detroit Lions between 1931 and 1938.
And it said he was known as the Flying Dutchman?
Yep, the legendary Flying Dutchman.
Well, there you go.
Legendary.
I've never heard. Yeah, I've never heard.
He had 36 rushing touchdowns touring his career.
I'm old, but I've never heard of that Flying Dutchman. No.
Yeah.
All right, by the way, Gonzaga they continued to roll last night, 85-66. They beat down USC. USC had one of the best defenses in the country during the regular season, and Gonzaga, man, just blew them out. Gonzaga is the number 1 scoring team in the country, and they've won 29 of their 30 games this season by double digits. They're 30-0, looking to become the first team since undefeated Indiana in 1976 to run the table throughout the season. Let's pause for station identification.
WYGM Orlando, WJRR HD2 Cocoa Beach, FM 96.9 The Game, the home of Orlando City Soccer Club.
You feel that?
I can feel it.
We're about to blast off.
Just hook it to my veins!
It's time for the blast.
It is time for the blast here on Open Mic. The blast brought to you by Frank Gay Services. If you need an electrician or a plumber right now, go to frankgayservices.com. They will hook you up. Let's
Frank Gay is like Johnny Juzang. He cannot be stopped.
That is correct. Let's start off with supplemental poll number 1. Would it be more impressive or less impressive if Gonzaga finishes unbeaten during a disjointed season disrupted by COVID? More impressive or less impressive, Mike?
Well, to me, I think it would be more impressive. I mean, you have elite programs like Duke in Kentucky that couldn't handle it. They could not handle it. They didn't even make the NCAA tournament. North Carolina had a down season. Yet you have Gonzaga, which, again, elite program in college basketball, and they're putting together a historic run during a season that, again, has been disrupted by COVID. There's been all sorts of distractions. This team has remained focused throughout the season, in a season that is hard to remain focused if you're a college basketball player. The training camp was short. They, again, game cancellations, all of that. I'm impressed, more impressed with what Gonzaga has done.
I found myself to become a Gonzaga hater, if you will. So I'm going to go with less impressive. Because I was looking at this team, and they're undefeated, and they start bringing up teams like that Kentucky team, that UNLV team. And I'm looking at the UNLV team going, dude, the UNLV team that I watched as a kid, maybe it's because I'm old now and I do that revisionist history. Yeah. I'm going, dude, this guy with the mustache, he runs away from Larry Johnson. He's not in the same category. Stacey Augmon is pinning these guys' shots against the backboard. You know, Greg Anthony's dropping threes. Anderson Hunt, George Ackles is killing this team. I found myself thinking that today, so I found myself becoming
Maybe that's
what
you
it is.
are old. This rock and roll music of today not nearly as good either.
I just remember Larry Johnson, and I'm looking at this guy with the mustache who's posing for the crowd after a layup, and I'm going, Larry Johnson wouldn't stand for that. No way.
You sound like my grandfather. What's Elvis doing up there shaking those hips? That's obscene.
Less impressive at all.
With 70% of the vote, more impressive wins this one. Thought-provoking daily poll time. Is the mass exodus of players from the Florida Gators basketball team a bad sign of where Coach Mike White's program is headed, or just a sign of the transient world of transfer portal college basketball? Is it a bad sign or a sign of the times, Mike?
You know what? I'm changing my stance from this morning. I've been thinking about this, all right? And again, I read the stat earlier today that 7 of the 12 SEC teams, we're not counting Alabama and Arkansas, we're not counting them because their seasons just ended, but 7 of the remaining 12 SEC teams have at least 3 players in the transfer portal. Florida has 4. So again, this is going on throughout college basketball. There's like 1,000 players in the transfer portal. College basketball, the recruitment of college basketball players has changed. I've been told that Mike White Florida's coach, is now focused more on the transfer portal than he is actual high school basketball recruits. So I'm going a sign of the transient times in college basketball.
I agree that this is a different world in college basketball, but he's got 4 guys that are transferring out. He's got one guy that's declared
Thus far.
He's got one guy who's declared for the NBA draft. So that's 5 guys off your roster gone. And then there's a bunch of other guys who have yet to make up their minds, which means they're thinking of transferring too. I mean, 4 off of one roster is a lot. If you get to 5 and 6, that speaks way more. That's way more than the average.
Okay, let me just ask you this though. All right, a lot of these guys that are transferring are reserves who didn't play much. And again, I don't know that this is the case. Maybe Mike White saying, "Wait a minute, there's better players this year in the transfer portal. So why don't you guys just go ahead and transfer, and I'll fill my roster with better transfers."
Well, because you're going to have to compete with other teams for these transfers. Not a guarantee. It's not like you just get to go to the grocery store and pick up a small forward here and purchase a point guard there. It doesn't work like that. I mean, you're going to have to compete with some other schools that are looking for transfers too. So
if Mike White were to do that, he wouldn't be able to get into the express lane. He'd have more than 10 items.
That's right. 61% of the vote says it's a bad sign for Mike White. Supplemental poll number 2, with Chuma Okeke leading the roster rehauled Orlando Magic to an upset of the LA Clippers. Are you ready to declare him a future star? Yes or no?
Yes, I am ready on this Overreaction Wednesday to declare Chuma Okeke a future star. Actually, I'm not, but I do like the way the guy looks. He looks like a basketball player. He looks smooth. He looks like he knows what he's doing out there. There's a reason Jeff Weltman, and again, Jeff Weltman knows a lot more about analyzing talent than I do. Jeff Weltman, the president of basketball operations, there's a reason he took a flyer on him with the 16th pick of 2 years ago when he knew the guy wasn't going to play for a year. He must have saw something in him that was that good that he said, I'll risk him not playing next year because I think he has a chance to come back and be really, really good. So yeah, I'm on board with Chuma Okeke, but not yet ready to declare him a future star.
Yeah, I don't know if he's a star yet, but what I will say is that if you're a Magic fan, and we've sort of distanced ourselves a little bit from Vooch and Fournier and Gordon being traded, if you can picture in your mind next season, the start of next year with Okeke, Mo Bamba,
Wendell Carter Jr.
Well, but you get all the guys that are injured back. I mean, it's
Jonathan Isaac,
Markelle Fultz, Cole Anthony, and if Mo Bamba, think about that. Think about those 5 guys. Those 5 guys on the floor together. Aren't you excited at least about having young talent across every position?
Austin Pastolka is. He thinks Mo Bamba's better than Nick Vucevic now.
I'm just saying, man. W's. I want winners right now.
What did you say earlier? Mo Bamba's got to win over the Clippers, but Vooch doesn't.
That's right. Vooch doesn't.
Mo Bamba had 12 points in 18 minutes last night.
That's right.
I didn't know that win last night was attributed solely to Mo Bamba.
Hey, 18 minutes, Mo Bamba had 12 points and 8 rebounds. I'll take that all day, every day, as he continues to get more experience.
Gets in better shape. And tell you what, Mo Bamba, he's a guy. He's a dude.
He's a guy.
He's a guy doing dude things. 67% of the vote says no, they are not ready to declare him a future star. We should ask this about Mo Bamba tomorrow.
My God, every time Aaron Gordon would score like 25, we'd spend the whole time, the whole next show, like, man, that's it. Is this the day he turns the corner?
That's right.
My former co-host Doc on this show, that used to be his catchphrase about Aaron Gordon: future star. Future star. Yeah.
Supplemental poll number 3: will Ohio State quarterback Justin Fields running a 4.440 at Buckeyes Pro Day Tuesday make Urban Meyer and the Jacksonville Jaguars consider taking Fields with the number 1 pick instead of Trevor Lawrence? Yes or no?
It may not make the Jaguars. Again, the Jaguars aren't going to do that. They're not going to not draft Trevor Lawrence. But the number 2 quarterback in the draft, if you have a guy who runs a 4.40, the second fastest 40 time in the history of quarterbacks running 40 times at the combine or at pro days, yeah, I think it's going to make other teams turn their heads and reconsider because, again, this guy he's an accomplished passer and he's a dual threat, and that's what the NFL wants more and more these days. So I'm going to go no, though, on the Jaguars part of this question.
And yeah, I would say no at number 1, but it wouldn't shock me if Urban pokes his head into Shad Khan's office and goes, hear me out for a second here, okay? What do you think we can get for the number 1 pick? And if we only slide down to like 4, I think Justin Fields will still be there. We could get him plus another first-round pick a little bit later on. Let's work some magic here.
And you know what Shad Khan would say?
Get out of my office.
Hey, I allowed you to hire the racist weight coach. I'm not going to give you the option to do this.
No, believe me, I've been to like the mall in Jacksonville, and I've already seen kids wearing their Trevor Lawrence Jaguars jerseys. I'm not ruining this for the fan base. No.
With 94% of the vote, no. Landslide victory there. Supplemental poll number 4. Does Tampa Bay Bucks coach Bruce Arians getting a Super Bowl tattoo at the age of 68 make him the coolest coach in the NFL? Yes or no?
You know what Bruce Arians is? He's the cool granddad. He's like a Renaissance man. I used to think that Mike Tomlin was the coolest coach in the NFL with his dark shades and sort of no-nonsense talk. But, yeah, I'm going to go Bruce Arians now. He's the cool granddad that everybody loves. Hey, let's invite Granddad to our college party. He'll smoke some weed with us. Yeah, I'm going Bruce Arians.
It's funny you said that because I was thinking Bruce Arians is definitely the granddad who, when the 15-year-old teenager of the house goes, go ahead and have a sip of that beer, son.
Absolutely.
I had my first beer when I was 13. I was overseas getting shot at when I was 18. If Gramp says you can have a beer, you can have a beer. What's your mother going to tell me? Are you kidding me? Put her over my knee like I used to. He's awesome. Bruce Arians is awesome. Love him.
Absolutely. 54% of the vote says yes, he is the coolest coach in the NFL. And finally, the open mic Would You Rather poll. Heated contest here. Would you rather fight a gorilla or fight a grizzly bear?
Oh, this is easy.
Wow. You know what? I'm going to go gorilla because you guys don't know this, but I'm sort of a hairy guy, all right? Got a little back hair, chest hair, all of that. I once had a girlfriend call me her little gorilla, all right? So
her little vanilla gorilla.
her little gorilla. So I think I would be able to make friends with one of my own. Yeah, I'm going to go gorilla.
Oh, no.
I definitely want the grizzly bear. Because I actually on the air one time said that because there was a story about a chimpanzee that mauled a woman to death because she had a pet chimpanzee. It just turned on her one day, ripped her arms off and her face and everything.
Yeah.
And I said, I think if you muzzled its mouth and it wasn't allowed to bite me, I could fight a chimpanzee. I think I could outbox a chimpanzee.
Right.
And I got about 50 text messages and emails like explaining to me the super strength of a gorilla.
You could box.
Yeah, I think I could outbox a chimpanzee. Like it wouldn't
jab.
Yeah, I would jab. I would move. Listen, I would
left hook. A little Joe Frazier left hook.
I mean, I'd go to the body. I'd go to the body too. Slow him down, wait for the later rounds, and then start delivering big shots upstairs. That's what I thought I would do. And then I would get a bunch of texts and emails about how stupid I was because of the super strength that gorillas have. At least with a bear, if you pretend like you're dead, they'll leave you alone. Like I'll take a dive like Sonny Liston did against Muhammad Ali. Bangor, Maine.
As the great TikTok sound once said, if you ever catch me in a fight with a grizzly bear, help the bear because he's going to need it.
Yeah.
There you go. Gorilla wins this one with 52% of the vote.
All right, straight ahead, we're going to head to Tampa, talk to our Tampa Bay Buccaneers insider. Could the Bucs draft Kyle Trask as their quarterback? of the future to sit behind Tom Brady for a couple of years. That's next on Open Mic.
Bianchi's got to get a quick workout in.
Tom, you are.
Open Mic.
Did you get any new ink after that big win?
Yeah, I came through with mine. I followed up on my bet and really, really happy with it too.
B-U-C-C-A-N-E-E-R-S, go Bucks! 68-year-old Tampa Bay Buccaneers coach Bruce Arians has some new ink. Had a bet with one of his staff members that he would get a Super Bowl tattoo if the Bucs won the Super Bowl, and by God, he did it. The tattoo has a Super Bowl 55 logo with the Lombardi Trophy, has the final score 31-9. I think our next guest, he might be getting a tattoo as well. Greg Allman, nobody covers the Bucs like him. He, of course, works for The Athletic. You can check out all of his coverage at theathletic.com. You can also hit him up on Twitter at Greg Allman. Now, Greg, I know you're not getting a tattoo because then you're an unbiased journalist, but if you were to get a tattoo, what would it be of, Greg?
I don't know. It's like you get a nice little, tiny box score, a little summary down there, bottom ankle kind of deal. I don't think I've put enough thought into getting a Super Bowl tattoo to do it right. People are really critical though. Like these players get these elaborate, ornate, detailed, multicolored tattoos, and they post the photos, and people on Twitter are just dogging them, and your lines are all wrong, and one trophy is clearly bigger than another, and all this kind of stuff. So I was proud to see Bruce did it. It's like he said it on the conference call, the Zoom yesterday, and at first I was like, I don't know if Bruce is being serious or not. I mean, it's like he's kind of got that legendary status where you can't rule anything out, but I'm like, did he really got a tattoo? And I was texting somebody going, we kind of need photographic evidence. I would like to get some body part clarification before I ask for a photo, but, and then within a minute, he's tweeted out a photo of the tattoo.
What body part was it on?
His back, which is, hey, for 68 years old, that's probably a good bet. I was trying to
was it down at the lower back, was it? Huh?
Somebody called it, Grace here in town called it a champ stamp, which is a great line.
Oh, I like it. Yeah, instead of if I had a tattoo, it would say, I love Mom. I think Arian should be, I love Tom. Yeah.
Hey, I love Tom, right.
All right. So the Buccaneers, is this correct? They've got every starter from the Super Bowl team coming back with playoff Lenny signing?
Every single starter, all 22. I mean, there's a couple key players that have left, special teams guys stuff, but no, all 22 starters. First time that's happened for a Super Bowl champ since 1979.
Wow. Who was that? The Steelers?
Steelers. And obviously that's a whole different world. I mean, 1979, there's no free agency. There's no salary cap. If you want to bring guys back, you just bring them back. So, unprecedented in kind of the current world we live in with free agency and salary cap and all that kind of stuff.
All right, I want to ask you about playoff Lenny. Leonard Fournette, he signs a deal worth about $3.2 million. It's got some incentives in it. Was that a matter of him just wanting to come back and be playoff Lenny again and he loved the Super Bowl, or is that just the market for running backs now?
Yeah, I don't think there was nearly the market that people thought he might have. I think when he had that postseason run he had, scored in all 4 playoff games, went over 100 yards in 3 of them. There were people that were somebody had him at 4 years and $32 million. And I was kind of like, yeah, if that's what he's getting, I think the Bucs are going to, wish him well and thank him for helping get a ring. I don't think they would be able to keep up with that. And, you saw Aaron Jones got crazy money from the Packers right at the start of free agency, and it seemed like, wow, okay, well, he's, in that next tier. But, Chris Carson only got, I think, $7 million from the Seahawks. They had been mentioned as a suitor for him. The Patriots had been mentioned, and they kept James White. So I don't know that there was really a whole lot of other compelling offers. I think a lot of these free agents this year have decided that it's, given how tight the cap is, it's almost better just take a 1-year deal where what your situation is going to be, and you get a chance to be a free agent again next year when the cap will be higher. Everybody will have a little bit more money to spend, maybe.
Now, who starts at running back now? Obviously, Ronald Jones was really good during the regular season, but playoff Lenny took over in the playoffs. Who's going to be the starting running back next year?
Yeah, no, that'll be a legit competition, and probably one that isn't just training camp, but like all year long. You know, Bruce is very much a ride the hot hand guy. You can be the guy that's the primary back, and if it's a fumble or a missed opportunity at one point, he'll switch to somebody else. So I think having both of them there, he was talking up their third back, Keyshawn Vaughn, who barely played as a rookie this year. He was talking him up yesterday. So yeah, it's kind of nice to have more than one option. If somebody gets hurt, if you want to change a pace, Ron Jones almost, if he hadn't gotten hurt and gotten COVID in December, probably would have been 1,000-yard back. There's probably a different world where he isn't hurt, and Fournette doesn't have the opportunity to step up and be playoff Lenny like he was.
What's going on with Antonio Brown? He's still out there. Is he going to re-sign with the Bucs too?
I think he'd like to. I just think right now, for whatever reason, the Bucs are waiting. I don't know if it's that they don't want to pay him what he wants. The name that's been mentioned, which would be wild. I mean, they haven't made any additions to this team from outside. But Larry Fitzgerald is a guy that has played his entire career, 17 years in Arizona, has not re-signed with Arizona. That could just mean he's retiring. But Fitzgerald played for Bruce Arians, played for Byron Leftwich, played for the receivers coach here in Tampa. So if he were to leave, this would be the place that's the most familiar for him, the most kind of, what he's already known. And again, I think, AB would be a great guy to bring back for them as a third receiver, but Fitzgerald's a Hall of Famer, and he's a guy who's played his entire career without winning a Super Bowl, played in one here in Tampa and missed out against the Steelers. So yeah, that'd be interesting, but one of those two would be a strong addition. You think about either of them paired with Mike Evans and Chris Godwin, it's still a really good group of receivers.
Buccaneers insider Greg Allman from The Athletic. He's right here on Open Mic. All right, so the draft is coming up. What are the Bucs looking at, and what do you think about the scenario Adam Reardon, my co-host, brought up earlier about the Bucs drafting Kyle Trask maybe in the second round as a quarterback of the future?
Yeah, they could. I mean, it's one of those where Bruce was asked about it yesterday. I mean, I think my instinct is that the Bucs are going to do everything they can to try and win now, to get a second championship. It'd be nice to have. I mean, they don't really have a logical successor to Tom Brady on this roster right now. Their backups last year were both 31. I mean, Blaine Gabbert and Ryan Griffin, both good backups, but not somebody you expect to kind of take the torch from him. So, yeah, I mean, if you felt like there was good value, none of their draft picks are going to really probably be starters. I mean, they're going to be drafting for depth, drafting for the future. So, yeah, I mean, what Bruce said is if you see a guy whose value you like, if that's a Kyle Trask or Mon from A&M in the second or third round, I don't think it's worth using their top pick on just because there's going to be about 5 quarterbacks already taken by then. But Trask is a guy where, again, I mean, it's something where, Bruce said you get a chance to have your next quarterback spend a year learning from Tom Brady, even if he doesn't play. That's really good for that guy's development. I mean, that's a nice guy to be able to pick up habits from, if you will. But I think about the Packers last year. The Packers did that with Jordan Love, used their top pick on a quarterback, and I go back to the NFC Championship game, and if that pick had been a pass rusher or someone that might have helped them, that might have been the difference in them getting to the Super Bowl. So I kind of see both sides.
Plus, as we've mentioned earlier today, it's not like Kyle Trask isn't used to sitting on the bench for 3 years before he gets right?
Well, and if there's anybody who's will be patient and won't be clamoring to get on the field and will learn from it, he's that guy.
Yeah. Greg Allman, nobody covers the Tampa Bay Buccaneers better. Check him out at theathletic.com. Subscribe. It's a great publication. You can also hit him up on Twitter at Greg Allman. Greg, we appreciate it.
Thanks, Mike. Have a good one.
There you have it, the Almanac, as he used to be known in college when he was writing for the independent Florida Alligator. The Almanac. All right, straight ahead, Mark Daniels. I want to get Mark Daniels' opinion on